Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this panel. We have an all-star cast to discuss a very profound topic here. They've already been introduced to you, and we're waiting for His Excellency, Mr. Abdullah Al-Blushi, who's in the meeting and will be joining us shortly mid-panel. But to get things underway, the masthead in our panel discussion, it's all about collaboration, fostering international partnerships, with Abu Dhabi at the heart of it all. Some of the various scenarios that we are seeing in the infrastructure community about sustainability, about connectivity, about servicing the urban population, all come to a close here in Abu Dhabi, which the world is looking to as a beacon of how things unfold in the infrastructure sector. And while we wait for Mr. Al-Blushi, let me pose the first question to all our fellow panelists, which is basically, gentlemen, what do you think about the collaborative spirit, the masthead that we have? And tied on to this, could we also have a brief introduction about your various companies? So may I please start with you, sir? They're switched on.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. I can speak from experience, really. What I have seen in the last 20 years in Abu Dhabi, it's huge transformation. We are grateful to be part of this forum. We at LEAD are responsible today for developing one of the flagship developments in Abu Dhabi. It's not about real estate, it's about its infrastructure. Infrastructure, planning, design, and execution is a curated journey. It's not an engineering task. It's a curation to create sustainable, livable, as the chairman of Abu Dhabi municipalities, Mr. Shurafa, indicated, not only livable but lovable cities. The collaboration between the private sector, which we are, we are a private real estate master planned development communities. It's about the opportunities that Abu Dhabi government is creating for private developers like ourselves. In Abu Dhabi, over the last 20 years, the transformation that we have seen to the skyline embedded in the infrastructure development, and when we are talking about infrastructure or smart cities or sustainable development, it's a combination of whether it's an airport, tunnels, communication, water usage, it's all embedded into one. This is all highlighted in what we do every day. We want to thank this forum. We want to thank Abu Dhabi government for giving us the opportunity to be a part of this panel.
Mr. Hakim, over to you.
First, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this panel. So I know that this summit is more about the collaboration between the public and the private sector, what we call like PPP. I've seen this collaboration elsewhere, and this is how the trend is now. Instead of the government investing in everything, in the infrastructure, they collaborate with the private sector to do so. So the government, with its budgets, with its reach out, is quite a heavy machine. We all know that, and by them collaborating with the private sector, who functions a bit lighter, and we have the know-how and the experience also, and we are maybe sometimes close to the customer and the need. So the combination of those two entities has always resulted in the right development, and it also helped a lot in activating the economy, the banks, etc. Now, as a private sector, if we talk about the way we are approaching the development, actually the market is quite different. Lately the market was more towards the price point and whatever the investors are asking for, and so on. At Bloom, we approached the development differently. We looked at the human being itself. We all know that humans are social creatures. They depend on interacting with each other for their survival and their well-being. And it's very important, and it's even embedded in their biology. Wherever you throw the human being, he has to interact with someone. So by looking at the human being himself, we look at how to develop communities instead of how to develop units. And this is what we have taken into consideration first, the human being and not the investor or the customer itself. And this is now why we are developing a big community over 2 million square meters of land, which is Bloom Living. Maybe we will get more into this. So,
sure, we can visit the conversation, of course, in more detail as we progress
yes, exactly.
The panel. Ms. Kasim, your perspective, and perhaps both the Turkish perspective and the potential for international collaboration when it comes to infrastructure investment.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, Turkish construction industry is very competitive and well known all over the world. And because it's open since 1972 to international collaboration. And our first business started in Libya, 1972. And since then, actually, our contractors have undertaken more than 540 billion US dollars project in 178 different countries, more than 12,000 projects. And also we are proud of that. Actually, Mr. Mounir mentioned about the development of Abu Dhabi. We were, as a Turkish contractors, we were part of this development, and indeed, in UAE, Turkish contractors have undertaken more than almost 20 billion US dollars project, with the 150 projects. And we are very, very proud of that, part of this development. And actually, as you know, this forum, I'm sure, will prove that to move ahead, there is need further collaboration, international collaboration, not only in financing, but also in terms of technology and sharing knowledge, sharing value added. This is my first perspective. Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Al-Awdly, I think most people here would be familiar with Masdar's branding. You are an international operator. We are here to discuss collaboration in infrastructure. What is your crystal ball telling you in terms of the direction forward and Masdar's own role in fostering this collaboration?
First of all, thanks to Adibik for hosting us here at this very important forum. Masdar has been established in 2006 to support the vision of Abu Dhabi to diversify its economy. We have conducted and developed projects in more than 40 countries so far. We have invested in solar energy and wind energy, both onshore as well as offshore. And we've been helping our clients and the government and nation we work with into diversifying their economies, but also decarbonizing their infrastructure and decarbonizing their businesses. Today, after around 17 years, Masdar is the fastest growing renewable energy in the world. We've been able throughout the last 24 months to triple the size of the company and to position Masdar footprint in every continent. We're very large in the States, we're very large in Europe, West and East. We're one of the largest investors in sustainable and renewable energy in the Middle East. We are the largest independent power producer in Africa, and we are also very active in Central Asia as well as Far East Asia. And all of this is only possible by adopting collaboration. And when we speak about collaboration, not just working with a private sector. We as Masdar is the private sector, but we partner with contractors, we partner with consultants, and most importantly, we partner with local communities. We partner with governments. A lot of those markets which we have entered, such as Central Asia, when we proposed to them the first solar investment, they did not have the regulation to support such investment. They did not have a policy and roadmap towards decarbonizing their businesses. So we worked hand in hand with them into supporting them in drafting their policies, in putting their roadmaps, in creating the environment that will not only attract Masdar to invest, but will attract our peers to come and invest in those countries. And we have a lot of successful stories that I can tell you about, being Uzbekistan or Indonesia and so on. And all of this is because we are a long-term investor. We are not transactional investor. We go there to create the infrastructure, to create the environment to invest, and we stay there. We stay 20 years, 30 years, taking care of the projects we have developed, operating them, and making sure those are sustainable projects and not just one transaction and we leave.
I will come to technology and community in a minute, but I will stay with you, Mr. Al-Badli, and then I will pose the question to the rest of the panelists. A bit in the masthead, we heard in the introduction, 200 billion dirhams worth of projects, the 2030 vision, 600 ongoing projects. It begs the question, the world is looking at Abu Dhabi. So just from a macro perspective, and to all of you, the same question, just from a macro perspective, how much of a beacon can what's going on here in Abu Dhabi serve to the rest of the world?
Sure. So Abu Dhabi has been at the forefront when we speak about sustainable infrastructure, at least the sector which I am very familiar with. The first solar ever project was here in Abu Dhabi, 10 megawatt in Masdar City, which was constructed in 2010. And back then, it was the largest solar power plant in the region, right? That 10 megawatt, which have taken us to constructed around 1 year, the same capacity now with the development of contractors, investors, technology and supply chain, we can construct it in 1 day. And hence you see large scale projects developed every year on the scale of 2 gigawatts, so 200 times bigger than the first project which was started in 2010 every year, right? And that's again because of the collaboration, because how the technology have advanced, but also the maturity which have been now increasing at the subcontracting level, at the supply chain level. But most importantly, Abu Dhabi has been always breaking the record in terms of new prices and new tariffs. So while Abu Dhabi have developed a lot of solar energies, and in people's mind this is subsidized project, they are not subsidized. Today, Abu Dhabi have proven to the world that solar and renewable energy in general is much more affordable than conventional way of producing utilities in specific power. But also Abu Dhabi have announced this year in 2025 in January during the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week a solution for a 2 decades problem, because solar energy has been associated with sunshine and sunset. So the electricity only available once we have the sun. But today Abu Dhabi again have proven that we could produce solar 24/7 and at competitive pricing. And that's the project which we have announced in collaboration with between Masdar and Emirates Water Electricity Company, round-the-clock solar energy, which will start construction very soon.
Sure. Mr. Qasimjan, what in terms of Turkey and the collaboration with Abu Dhabi, what are you witnessing from where you sit in terms of the dialogue between both nations?
Actually, it has a big potential. So this is the fact. I mean, not in terms of money, because as already mentioned, they are talking about the sustainable project. This is also quite important. And as I said, in United Arab Emirates, our contractors have undertaken more than 150 projects, and they are ready to be part of the next projects. And because they are capable, Turkish contractors are capable doing works in PPP projects. And most of those projects are PPP projects, and we have a good expertise, and we are ready to share this expertise with Abu Dhabi partners. And we are ready. We really want to be part of this development programs, and we see it has a big potential, and there will be we will work together in sustainable projects, digital and green transformation projects.
Sure. Mr. Wakim, if I may, we spoke about Abu Dhabi being a beacon in terms of serving as an example to the world of what the infrastructure developments are going on. From Bloom's perspective, it's all, you look at some of the communities that have been established, we look at the smart city emphasis that we have on Abu Dhabi. So from your perspective, in terms of establishing these communities, serving the needs of the citizenry, and of course, proving something exemplary for the rest of the world, where does Bloom come into view?
Yeah, as I have said, when you look at the human being itself, then you start thinking about what to provide to this human being to live to cater for his well-being and for his safety. So when we approach the communities in Bloom Living, for example, it's an all-inclusive community. So we provided to our people homes and environment that are pleasant and that are pleasant to live in. For example, we took into consideration what is the common interest of those people, because we haven't only considered a certain type of people. We took into consideration different generations. We took into consideration different nationalities. So what can we provide to all this blend for them to have a pleasant life within our communities? We looked into the outdoors, and which is a very important component in the community. So outdoors activities, parks, walkable areas, cyclable areas. So in our community, more than 10 to 15% of the areas. So out of the 2 million square meter, we have at least 200 to 250,000 square meter of parks, gardens, footpath, cycle path, where people can go out and they can communicate and be with each other. So there's a lot of sports activities that has been taken into consideration. Tennis courts, football fields. We have taken into consideration even the pets. It's an animal-friendly community where there will be a dog park and the like. Also, we have provided schools. All what a human being needs to live in a community. So they have the schools and all the facilities and the amenities. They can find the supermarket, they can find the clinic, They can find, the hairdresser, the barber, whatever you want. So it's there in their city center. And most importantly, everything is at a walking distance. It's reachable, really walking. Any child from any part of this project can go to his school on his bicycle in the morning and come back in the evening, and very safely. It's very important. So we have to create this kind of a haven that is not there yet in Abu Dhabi. So it's the first really fully integrated community, and we really shifted from the trend of the market, because when we started like 3 years ago with this project, the market was going towards the price point. And whatever the broker wants, we have to cater for the broker. Guys, no, now we have our customers who need something at 500,000 and it will fly. No, we don't take that. We don't do this in Abu Dhabi. So there is a very clear direction from the leadership that Abu Dhabi has to be different. And to be honest, without the support of the government and without the support of this leadership, we could not have done all this. So whenever we have some difficulty in progressing on something, all we have to do is to reach to the government. And Adel, my colleague Adel, the CEO of Aldar, has spoken about the Abu Dhabi Chamber and the groups that are in the chamber. For example, the developers are there and they are presented. Mounir and I are on this panel, and they always hear our problems. They always hear our challenges, and it's not about just to hear us talking. It's about to help us with the solution and take into consideration our advice on this.
Absolutely. Mr. Haidar, one other pillar, one very important pillar of what we are discussing is the enablement of technology. We talk of AI, we talk of digital twins. How much of a bearing is it having on the industry from lead development's perspective?
Beautiful question. Thank you. We at Lead, we put our money where our mouth is. And the many developments, the master plan community developments we have undertaken now and or before, speak for themselves. Okay? In terms of livability, walkability, creating a true communities. And this vision is driven by the government since the outset of the real estate development boom back in 2003. Okay, so what we are seeing today is a translation to the vision that the government set back in 2003, when the first wave of real estate development started. However, I think with the support of the government, through different regulations, through investment in the infrastructure, and I'll come to your question, the investment in the infrastructure, that's what's driving the economic growth. We all know, modern infrastructure drives economic growth. It's proven. And Abu Dhabi is in the forefront of this. In many other cities that we have lived before, worked in before, the infrastructure was a bit behind what has been developed. In Abu Dhabi, they are doing it differently, and we are grateful to be part of this process. To come to your question, it is infrastructure development, modern infrastructure development is about planning, it's about prediction, it's about investing the right resources at the right time. Okay? It is not about only artificial intelligence. Okay? It's about planning, using the technology to plan, design, execute, and maintain at a very competitive economic price. So what we are seeing today throughout Abu Dhabi, it's not only Need or Bloom or Adar, across all the spectrum of the real estate development led by the government, it was great scene to see the chairman of the Abu Dhabi municipalities sitting next to the chairman of Abu Dhabi Economic Department. What a great presentation that both are driving the economic development forward, embedded by the vision and the transformation of modern infrastructure, whether that infrastructure is airport, tunnels, highways, communication, energy usage. So again, what is being implemented is to serve our needs as developers. We start with the end in mind. The end in mind is livable communities. As Mr. Carlos said, we start with the master plan. We start with the infrastructure plan. Jubail Island, it's a 40 million square meters of land surrounded by beautiful, sensitive ecosystem. What has been created on Jubail Island with the support of the government, the support that through regulations, it is really, that's when I say we put our money where our mouth is. It's a uniquely master planned community. Whether it's the open space, whether the protection of the ecologically sensitive mangrove parks, it's all embedded. Mobility, the use of water, the conservation of water, that was all embedded in the master plan, in the infrastructure master plan, which is now translated to a livable communities.
I will stick with you for my next question, and perhaps I will come to Mr. Labadli with the same question, which is how do we build climate resilience into infrastructure, because it is at the forefront of a number of people's minds who are out here in the audience. So give us some perspective on that, sir.
We live in a changing world. Climate is a major element when we plan megacities, whether through the rising temperature, whether the rising of water level, okay? When it comes to building resilient infrastructure, you have to model it, whether the 100-year storm or 50-year storm. So to build resilient infrastructure, you need to look into the future, learn from the lessons learned, okay? Whether it's in energy, solar, or water usage, or water conservation, or mobility, public transport. These are all pillars of planning for resilient infrastructure, that when you build this infrastructure, it's economical, and when you maintain it, is cost effective as well.
Sure. Mr. Albadi, your perspective, a key pillar, most at these panels such as this of this nature, it almost always come up that the first key point of resilient infrastructure is energy, grid stability, making sure that the lights are on. So give us some perspective on that, please, sir.
Sure. I think it's no-brainer that energy is the backbone of economic development, it's the backbone of infrastructure. I mean, the light we have here, the sounds we have here are all powered by energy and powered by power. And hence, resilient infrastructure require sustainable sources of power and sustainable sources of water. And that's, I think, have been proven. For decades, we were speaking about this as a luxury. Today, it's a necessity. And has been proven, as I highlighted in my previous intervention, it is cost competitive, and it is an opportunity even to improve cost, and an opportunity to expand development. Another element I do believe when we speak about resilient infrastructure is the ESG part, right? So it's very important as well that we adopt ESG practices when we deploy infrastructure projects. And that's even with solar or wind projects. People think those are clean solutions, so they do what they want to do. No, we are very careful in the impact our projects are creating to the social communities, to the environment, to the other species. And hence, for every project we deploy, we have a clear ESG plan. And I can give you examples of this. We developed the first solar floating plant in Cirata Dam in Indonesia, a dam which has been for years occupied by fishermen, and they use it for their day-to-day fishing. And they were at the beginning very frustrated. Masdar is coming now to occupy the surface of the dam with solar panels. This is where we fish. This is where we make money. This is where we live. And hence, working with them and ensuring that, one, our operation and construction does not have an impact on them is very important. But most importantly, having them being part of that success and part of that story. And we use the fishermen in our construction. We use their boats in our construction. We use their talent and their manpower because they know the dam in and out, right? We came there to do a project, but we don't understand the landscape of the dam as example. And that made the project very successful, and they don't want us to leave now. They want us to do another floating solar panel in the same dam. Other example is in Uzbekistan. We developed the first and largest wind farm, which is now fully in operation in Zarafshan, which is one of the regions in Uzbekistan. And one of the challenges we are faced is our operation could interrupt bird migrations because birds are migrating throughout this site. And the last thing we want to do is to produce a clean power but kill birds, especially during an important migration process. So we worked with partners and we collaborated with technology providers, and we developed robots that provide signals to the birds so they can divert their flying bats from our turbines. And if they continue to fly toward the turbines, it will give signal to the turbines to stop. So we will lose generation, but we will not kill birds. So going back, resilient climate and resilient infrastructure require adopting ESG practices, which is very important. It comes at a cost, but it helps the full ecosystem because you don't want to prosper on the cost of other creatures or the environment or even other local communities.
Sure. Mr. Kazimchan, if I may, it's a complex scenario to try to balance resilience with the needs of a growing population, the growing urban populations. What anecdotal evidence or what are you encountering from the TCS perspective?
For resilient infrastructure, resilient climate change, indeed, construction sector is one of the leading sector generates carbon monoxide, and this is the fact. And to reduce carbon monoxide, that mainly comes from the cement, iron. That's why we should use the technologies to how we reduce this carbon monoxide. We should use green cement and we should use green iron steel. And in this perspective, what we are doing, actually we are encouraging startups and technology companies, any technology companies, how we can reduce this carbon monoxide and how we can use environment friendly construction materials. These are quite important. And this is one of the way. Technology besides on this, technology is quite important because it reduces uncertainty and increase the predictability. For any project, every partner of the project is looking for predictability. That's why technology we mainly focus on as a TCA and about the technology, because Turkish construction sector very competitive all over the world, but to continue our competitiveness, we should focus on the technology in construction sector, and we mainly focus on the technologies.
Mr. Game, if I may come to you, I'll tweak the question a little bit and ask you about emerging trends. Now, when we look at the approaching horizon, a number of your end users, they will think about sustainability, they will think about the future. So what are some of the emerging trends that you're witnessing in your sector, perhaps with a 10-year horizon? We're in June 25, say between now to 2035. What kind of emerging trends do you think will take hold over the next 10 years?
You know, it's we follow usually what the customers look for, or what are the trends, but we can create also the trends ourselves. So how do we drive this? So we think really when we design our projects, when we design our units, being it apartments or townhouses or villas or whatever, like commercial areas, we think about the project like what would it be in 10 years from now. And again, I would like to stress that we shifted from the ordinary market demand of small units, etc. And when we designed our projects and our units, we didn't design small. No, we thought about the end user. And again, it's all about the human being. So we didn't provide those studios of 25 square meters, which are like more of hotel rooms than studios. So when you look at the demand, and when you put into consideration who is your customer and who you want to focus on. And again, when we focus on communities, we focus more on families. So we are catering more for families, not only now, but like in the coming 10 years.
Sure. I'm conscious of time, ladies and gentlemen, but Mr. Haidar, I will briefly, very briefly, your comment on some of the emerging trends that we may see. And then I'll request all of you to offer some closing statements. But first, your perspective on emerging trends.
You set the trend. You set the trend by creating uniquely master planned communities where infrastructure is embedded in this plan. Today, people are looking for places to live in where comfort is important, cost effectiveness is important, mobility is important, and comfort is important. So you set the trend for what your community needs. We are driven by what creates value for Abu Dhabi. This is the trend that I believe people should be focusing on.
Sure. And as we bring things to a close, very briefly, I will continue with it and then go on to fellow panelists with that. But the same, Ms. Al-Balushi could not join us, but perhaps you give us some perspective on the role of governments, very briefly, in concentrating hearts and minds, especially via PPP schemes.
I can speak from personal experience. For the last 20 plus years in Abu Dhabi, the collaboration that private developers and the support that the private developers have gained from collaborative process with the government has been magnificent. I can speak from personal experience. 20 years ago, we were trying to see where the vision will take us. Now it's clear. Regulations are being updated. I lived through this personal experience. We pushed the envelope on some building codes with the government, with the municipality. They took them, they adopted some, and some they didn't. This is where the collaboration is. Their office is open. We have an issue. We could pick up the phone and call, and things will be addressed. Maybe not fast enough, but will be addressed.
Mr. Your perspective, please. You mentioned how crucial government partnerships are earlier in your remarks, but your closing thoughts, please, very briefly.
As Mounir well said, there's always someone to hear us when we have challenges, and again, the role of the Chamber of Abu Dhabi is crucial in this regard. For example, they share with us laws and bylaws that before they come out, and they said, guys, from a developer point of view, what do you think about this? So we openly give our opinion, and as Mounir said, sometimes they hear us, sometimes they have other considerations for that.
Mr. Simch, your closing remarks, please. Or what do you think of PPPs?
Yes, thank you. These partnership, global infrastructure partnership must go beyond the financing and grow. It should include, inclusivity and innovation, technology, shared value, value added. This is the fact. And today, the future of infrastructure is not only what we build, it's also how we build.
Appreciate it. Mr. Wadli, please bring proceedings to a close on the role of governments when it comes to infrastructure.
I do believe the government set the North Star by setting the right policies, the right master planning, as well as the right roadmaps, right? To guide investors like the gentleman here into what is required here, what sort of investment, what sort of technology we should deploy. And that's, for me, is the most important role of the government. If there is no clear policy and direction, then we'll have a chaotic offering in the market, right? Because we like it or not, business is for making business. We are not necessarily 100% aligned with the government vision because we'd like to maximize our retails. But guiding us on where we can maximize our retails, that's exactly the role of the government. Setting the right regulations, policy, and roadmap, master planning is what we expect from the government. And I think this is what Abu Dhabi is unique about. And today's forum is an example of this, where the private investors are invited to share their views, to communicate their demands, to list their wish list, if I may say. And that's what we would see and expect as well from the government.
Thank you so much. And my sincere thanks, a round of applause for our eminent panelists, and we're really grateful for their insight.